Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. It is another beautiful day here in mid-Michigan. I can hardly believe my luck at getting a temperature of a high of 47 today. Sounds kind of chilly for those of you who are in warmer climates, but when we come out of winter and the sun is out, it's like bikini time in Michigan. All right, well, my name is Soleil and welcome to the Suburban Oasis channel. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you and all the new viewers, and it's just been great having an opportunity to interact with you guys over the years. And welcome to today's video. We are going to be going around the garden and trimming hydrangeas today. I know a lot of people wait for this video or may have questions about how to prune certain types of hydrangeas, so we're going to do several different kinds and I'll explain it as we go. So let's get started. There's still quite a bit of snow on the ground, but you can hear the birds. They're just as excited as I am about the spring. So here on the deck we have the Diamond Rouge hydrangea, and this Diamond Rouge hydrangea is a paniculata hydrangea. It is more of a lace cap variety, and it has lots of blooms and the pollinators love it, and it turns a gorgeous dark color in the fall. And so I'm going to be keeping this in this pot this year again because I think it could stay in this pot for quite a few more years. And this pot is a very large terracotta pot. I'm not absolutely sure of the size. I actually got it off of Facebook, and a lot of people ask me how I overwinter terracotta pots, and one of the important things is to ensure that they are kept up off the ground or off of whatever surface they are on, because if they absorb too much water, that can cause them to crack. But another thing is the quality of the pot. So there are different firing techniques for pottery, and some of them are not fired at the same temperature as others or made from a high quality clay, so those can really absorb a lot more water and have issues. So this one I think is like a Duroma pot. Let me see, I think there's a I thought there was something on it that said that it was a Duroma Italian clay pot. But that is a pretty good brand. But look into it and Google it and read about it online. There's definitely a big cost differential, but over time, if they last for years and you can use them over the winter, it definitely is worth the investment. I lucked out and got this one for $10. That is not how much they sell for online. All right, so back to pruning hydrangeas. So I've clipped off some of the damaged branches already, just the tips of them, but I didn't actually prune this one for structure or for crossing branches or anything like that. But we've had a lot of ice and snow this winter, which causes this to happen, where the florets actually gather enough rain and snow weight to snap the branch, and they just kind of hang over like that. So I've just come through and clipped those off. And as a result, now I want to prune for shape and form. I will start by looking for any of the branches that might be crossing, and I see we have one right over here, and this one is going directly into the hydrangea, which we don't want, so we'll clip that one completely off. I also see a very small branch right here. That's another thing that I look for, is really tiny branches. This one I actually am going to keep because I like where it's growing, and I hope that it grows on a little bit more. Now right here you can see these two branches are eventually going to compete, but this one I think is going to be less of one that I want because I want to keep the one over here. So I'm going to trim this one completely off. Typically you want to take your hydrangeas back by about a third. At least the paniculata ones and the arborescens ones. You can take them back further than that if you need to, because they're really, really old or something like that, and you want to try to develop some new growth on them. But this helps to keep the plant nice and bushy and healthy and not too leggy. I'm actually going to prune these back quite a bit, right to here, and you'll see there's a nice little leaf node, which is this piece right here that you see sticking out. and I'm going to prune back to that point. And we're going to do that at the same height on the other side. I'm also going to trim this one back right here because I really think it's a little small. So we're going to take that off. And then I'm going to trim these two back just so they can continue to get thicker branches. I also see a really small branch right here I'm going to prune off. And then this one coming back into the plant is coming off. I will take this one off as well because it's going to grow into this other branch on the side. I'm going to take this one back. Going to take this one back a little bit, as well as this one. So I think I'm just going to clip to that height. And I do like to try to rotate this hydrangea because right now it was growing out this way further. So I rotated this side to face the sun more so that hopefully we get more growth on this side that is stronger. I'm going to clip off this weird shaped branch right here because it's kind of curling around and going in towards, and I want to discourage that as well as this one right here. We have a little bit of dead right here. Going to clip this one back just a skosh, and that one. So I do want this to continue to fill out in this area with this branch and these. Right over here, I'm actually going to clip this one back to here. I'm going to take quite a few of these back. I'm going to take off this little tiny one right here and this little tiny one right here. I'm not too sure about this branch yet, so I'm just going to clip it back a little bit for now. We'll see how it fills out. I think I'm probably just going to take this branch off, but we'll see how that grows in. And this branch is really long, so I actually really want to bring it back because it kind of is out of scale for this bush. Then I'm going to take this one off here, take this one off, and this one. I'm going to take this one off on the outside, and this one. And there's one more I see in here now that I'd like to take off. And let's get this one cut back a little bit too because it just doesn't look like it's very thick. So that will help to thicken that up. And we'll take off this tiny one right here. So that should do it for now. Again, I might come back in and take this one off so that I just have this lower branch coming out. But we'll see how this grows out. Looks pretty good for now. All right, let's take a look at another hydrangea. So over here we have the berry white hydrangea. This is another hydrangea, and this one has been growing for quite some time in this spot, but it really is just starting to send up some big thick shoots. So this one and that one came out last year, and I really am liking the thick growth on it. So that means the roots are really getting strong on this plant, and hopefully we continue to get some nice strong solid growth on it. I'm definitely going to be having to take off quite a bit on this plant, and again, everywhere that I cut, I am just cutting above a node. So the first thing that I'm going to do on this, which might seem like a waste to some people if they know where they're going to clip their hydrangeas or how they're going to shape them, but I just want to take off the panicles first. And the reason for that is I feel like it will help me to be able to see the shrub better and where any of the issues might lie. And then I can, again, prune it for shape and form as opposed to having to worry about the panicles being in the way of seeing the branches. I can tell I have a lot of crossing branches in here, and I have quite a few things that, or branches that look like they have not the strongest growth. So I want to make sure that we take care of that as well and really begin to shape this shrub this year. The nice thing is that it did put on a whole lot of growth. So I know it's happy where it's at, and it was absolutely stunning this fall. All right, we've got a lot of this done. So if you can tell, we have that one really long branch, which if you wanted to, you know, take a cutting at this time of year and stick it in the ground, that would be the type of cutting that I would take, because it is from last year's growth, and that would make an excellent standard, if you will. But it is such a nice strong branch, I'm hoping to be able to keep it. So let's start by going on this branch and cutting it back. And I'm going to cut it back right above where all of this nice new little growth is here. And I could still stick that piece in the ground or in a pot to try to root it out if I wanted to. Now I have some funny ones growing into the center here, so we're going to take this back and cut that one out. And I'll have to come back through here when I don't have a camera in my hand and pick up these sticks. But what I'm doing right now is just clipping out the ones that are coming directly into the center. These two are crossing right here, so that's no good. And then when you see that crossing, you do have to decide which branch do you actually want to keep. And this one is a branch that I'd like to keep, but I don't need it growing that low anymore, so I'm going to actually cut that one off. And I might cut the other one off as well because it is growing so low. But let's see where we go with this. I want to take some of these stems back quite a bit to where they're much thicker. And again, it might be a little bit more than a third in some spots, but that's just to ensure that I get really strong plant. And this does not have to be the last time that you prune. You can prune during the season, during the growing season, because these grow on new wood. So that means you can come in here, and if you see something later that you still need to clean up, or you don't like the way that it's growing, you can still do it. And it will still bloom for you this year. All right, this branch right here is rubbing up against the tall branch, so now I do really have to make a decision about that and what I want to do. And I'm actually thinking that because it has quite a bit of spindly growth on it, that I'm going to clip it back right to here, and that way we can keep both of these nice strong branches and keep that height in the back. I'm going to take this one completely off because I want this stronger branch to do the work. And we'll just clip that back. Again, I just want these to be stronger branches, and if I grow them for several years and I keep cutting them back, they're going to get thicker. I'm going to take out this spindly one because I've got some stronger structure on the next branch. And then there's a spindly one down here at the bottom. Yeah, I'm going to take this one off that's at the base here because it's really coming out. Don't be afraid of pruning your hydrangea, especially these paniculata ones. They're really, really robust plants, super hardy. They will grow really, really well, and they definitely appreciate the pruning. I'm just going to keep cutting this back a little bit so we get a nice shrub form here. I'm not sure if I want to keep this one, so for now I'm just going to cut it back. Otherwise it's kind of growing into the other branches, which look a whole lot stronger than that one. And then I'm going to cut this one back a little further. We'll cut this one back further. And I'm not sure that I even really like this branch over here, but the thing is if you leave something, you can always come back and cut it off. If you don't leave it, you can't because it's gone. So just keep that in mind. And like I said, because it blooms on new wood, it's really quite simple to come back in and prune. So I like the shape of this right now. I might want to take the really tall one back further at some point, but yeah, that's all I'm going to do for today, and I'll have to come back in and clean this up. Okay, so we have this beast of a vanilla strawberry hydrangea that's by the fountain, and this one also had some damage from the storm, so I did prune off all of the panicles, it looks like, except for one that is still on there. So this is the same real technique that I just showed you, so let's get this one done. One thing that I like to avoid with this hydrangea is the branches going over into the fountain. So I try to cut those back because if they get wet and they get stuck in the fountain, it just pulls them down. So this is a good example of one growing directly towards the fountain here. This one is long and it's growing upwards. It looks like a nice strong branch, but it's growing at a curve and it's growing directly towards the fountain, so I'm going to cut that one off. It is a nice long one that could be stuck into the ground for rooting as well. This one seems like it might run into this one, but I think that if I if we take this one back, I wonder if there will not be as much weight on it, and I want to take this one out that's going right by the fountain. I'll take out this little one. This might actually be a stem that I completely cut out altogether because at the base it's actually growing up towards the fountain. But in order to do that, I'll need to grab my really strong pruners. So that looks like a strong possibility for what I'll do with that. Some small weak ones over here. Just clip those back. I want to clip back the height on those top ones too. That looks better. We'll cut this one back too. Just stand back and look at it. Check out the form and the shape and see if you like it. If not, take a little bit more off. I also don't want the branches coming out into the pathway at me. So it's always kind of a bit of a trying to decide what comes out and what doesn't. I'm just kind of thinning this one out a little bit too, because there are a lot of branches on it. If I have a nice tiered height, that should help them to avoid running into each other as well. I think I'm going to take this branch off. And this one here. Prune that one back. Got to get some height off these. Uh-oh, I see a crossing branch here. Oh, it's on the one that I'm going to actually clip off at the base, but I'm just going to take it off for now so it doesn't rub the other branch. And then I see we have one that's coming up from here, and it's going all the way up through the plant. Nice to see that new growth, but I don't want it on there. You can see I need to trim this one branch back right here because it's definitely taller than the others. All right, let's get in here so we can get the other branches. Can't reach them from there. And this will be the stem that I take out. Ooh, that one was rubbing on this branch really bad, so you can see what the rubbing does. That's not good. Going to try to test my pruners here. It's not going to work. I might just clip this branch off so that I don't get any disease through it. still need to get a little bit of height off of that. Here, I'm going to take this one off because it's coming towards the fountain. Oh, that's on the one that I'm going to be cutting off completely anyways. Okay. All right, I think we're good with that one. So you can see kind of the shape and how that has come out now, which is nice. I wish I could fill in a little bit more on this side, but that's the side that is away from the sun. So it probably will never really truly fill in there, but that's okay. All right, so I do want to talk really quick about this type of hydrangea over here. This one is a little bit hard to see because of the light, but this is a Let's Dance Can Do, and this is a macrophylla, big leaf hydrangea, and this one should not be trimmed much at all. So what I'm going to do right now is just trim off the old blooms just beneath where they bloomed. So for example, this one right here, right beneath where it bloomed. Now why you don't want to trim these is because they bloom on old wood. This one has been hybridized over the years and bred to also bloom on new wood, but if you do prune, you're going to end up taking off the opportunity for two sets of blooms and just maybe end up with only the blooming on the new wood further on into the season. You can also take out if you feel like it's like congested in the middle or there are weak branches that you want to get rid of. So it doesn't mean that you can't trim it at all. You do want to still look for diseased or broken branches. And this one's broken right here. But this one I just planted last year, so I'm going to be really interested to see how it performs in my garden because I have had no luck with macrophylla hydrangeas being good at blooming in my garden. They just always seem to get taken by the frost or a late freeze. So this one, I am going to actually cut a branch, and this one is going to get cut because it's rubbing up against this other one. But that's about it. I see a little bit of dead wood over here. But you can also wait on these to see what actually is dead wood. If you're not sure, just give it a minute in the spring. It will tell you. After it wakes up, if you don't see green happening on branches, then you'll know that that branch is a dead branch. So you can also prune to shape. But again, this is a prune after bloom, and prune very limited as much as possible because you don't want to take off this year's buds, this year's blooms. Next up we have some smooth hydrangeas. These are the arborescens variety. This particular one is the incredible hydrangea, and these bloom on new wood, and you typically should cut these back by 1/3. You might want to prune out some of the very, very old stalks if you see those and they're looking dead, but they can also help to provide a little bit of support for the new growth on these. You'll see a lot of these are actually down in the snow right now, but these are probably some of the easiest ones to prune because you just want to take back about 1/3. So you might want to also cut out any branches that are crossing, and I'm just going to cut these off because they're stuck down in the snow. They should pop right back up after that. Now I've just had these for a couple years in my garden and they're a really great performer. I have seen some people actually take flower cuttings from these after they bloom the first time, and as a result they got rebloom from them in the same year, which is pretty cool. So I've thought I might do that this year. I really do think that these are kind of the easiest ones of all of them. Like, panicles are not hard or anything, but these you don't even really have to worry about whether you cut above a node or not. I think that one's actually all the way pruned. I might take this back just a little bit further there. Alright, yeah, looks good. Pretty quick and easy. So, could probably take it back even a little bit further if you want to, but I did look for the nodes and decide where I wanted to cut it. And these two right here have a node up here and a node down there. So why don't we just take those two back, because they are super tall and they'll still be just fine. I don't want to keep it too high. I do want to make sure we get lots of new growth on it and help the roots continue to get strong. There's a crossing branch right there. I thought we were done. All right, now we are. I like the shape of that better also. So you actually could do these if you wanted to with a pair of like hedge clippers and make it about a 10-second job on each one if you wanted to, and we're not worried about being precise because you don't really have to. Okay, well, that is going to do it for today for us. I appreciate you joining me. I hope you learned a little bit about hydrangea pruning, or maybe this just motivated you to get outside and do a little gardening or start pruning your hydrangeas. Thanks again for joining me on the channel. We'll see you next time.